So in our today's C.R.E lesson, we are going to learn about preparation for marriage. In preparation for marriage, we are going to look at the traditional African practice of the preparation for marriage, and then later we are going to look at the Christian practice. Those are the two practices that we are going to tackle in this topic. And in each part, if it's traditional African practice, each has 3 parts, and we are going to look at the 3 parts: choosing a marriage partner, betrothal and courtship, and then lastly we'll look at the wedding ceremony. So in the 2 practices, we have to look at those 3 parts. So we start with the traditional African practice. In the traditional African practice, we start with the first one. I said that it has 3 parts. The first part is choosing a marriage partner. So, what are the methods and the procedures that are used in finding a marriage partner in the traditional African society? Number 1, there is arrangement by parents. This is whereby the parents choose partners for their children. For example, among the Maasai in Kenya, if there is friendship between 2 families, they may agree to get their children of the opposite sex to marry each other. And also in arrangement of the parents also, a boy can go and approach a girl's parent and negotiate the marriage. And also parents can make a choice of a marriage partner for their children while they are still young, especially in the Kamba. Long time ago, Kamba community, they used to make the choice for their children to marry when they are still young, who they are going to marry. So that was the first point in choosing a marriage partner in the traditional African society. The second one is choice by partners. So that is the young men to choose their own their own partners. And after they choose them, they were to inform their parents so that the parents can investigate about the reputation of the family, whether the girl has a good conduct, and also to know whether they were related before the young man married the partner that he wanted. So there was also choice by partners, and especially the young men were the ones who were choosing. Another way of choosing marriage partner in the traditional African society is choice through an intermediary. This is whereby a close, trustworthy relative finds out about the girl and her family, and then involves his or her own family in choosing. So a close relative who is trusted by the girl's family would go and seek about the marriage from the family of the girl that he had chosen. Also, another way of choosing a marriage partner is a senior wife of the polygamist may choose a wife or husband if she is married. So the first wife of a polygamist chose a wife for the husband. If she could not be able to give birth, or if she needs any assistance, that was a way of choosing marriage partner in the traditional African society. In other cases, girls were given out as gifts. They were given out as gifts to chiefs or kings. So you find that is a way of choosing a marriage partner. And also, lastly, a debtor gives his wife to creditor in order to repay a debt. So if you owed money, instead of paying the money by cash, you give your wife out to the debtor. So that is a way of choosing a marriage partner. So traditional qualities for good wife and husband. So the qualities of a good wife in the traditional African society: What are the qualities that are required traditionally for you to be called a good wife? The wife should be hardworking, should be morally upright, should be also be obedient, faithful, polite, warm-hearted. Another quality of a good wife is clean. Number 8, fertile, kind, humble, beautiful, generous, and welcoming. Welcoming to guests, especially welcoming to guests. Whereas the qualities of a good husband, if you can say this is a good husband, what was the qualities of a good husband in the traditional African society? Should be able to provide good leadership for the family. Also, a good husband should be aggressive. Yes. Should be brave. Brave is the same as courageous. Should be responsible. Should be wise. And a good manager of property. So that was the first part of choosing a marriage partner in the traditional African practice. So the second part is betrothal and courtship. So in betrothal and courtship, number one, you must ask yourself what betrothal is. Betrothal is formal engagement between a boy and a girl. betrothal. betrothal. So betrothal is the formal engagement. You know, of course, it's between the boy and the girl. Whereas when you talk about courtship, we are talking about the period between engagement and the time the actual wedding ceremony takes place. So it's between engagement and wedding. That period, that's what we call courtship. So during engagement, our engagement is formalized by parents taking beer, sheep, goats, and foodstuff to the girl's parents. So that's how, in some communities, the engagement is formalized. Whereas in some other communities, you find out that the girl is told to wear a bracelet to show that she is engaged. And during this time also of courtship, marriage negotiations take place. And some of the activities involving the payment of bread wealth also take place during this time. So all that you're supposed to know about betrothal and courtship. So the significance of betrothal and courtship. When you're talking about significance, what do we mean? We mean the importance of betrothal and courtship. Or even meaning. What does it mean to be betrothed? The meaning of betrothal and courtship. So the significance is, number one, it helps in identifying a suitable marriage partner. So to identify a suitable marriage partner. The two families establish a firm relationship. What do we mean by that? We mean the two families involved in marriage negotiation to establish a firm relationship. So it's during that time. That is the significance or the importance. Also, it is an opportunity to learn the character of the boy or girl. So in basic terms, what we mean is that the boy and the girl have an opportunity to learn one another's character and know their families. Also, another importance of betrothal and courtship is to check relations or blood relations, to check whether they are related by blood. So it offers an opportunity to check and establish whether the boy and the girl are related by blood. It strengthens the relationship between the two families. Or you can just say it cements and strengthens the relationship between the two families. The boy and the girl are taught also their duties. That is another importance or the meaning of betrothal and courtship. They are taught their duties and responsibilities. So boys and girls are instructed in family life education, where they are taught their duties and responsibilities. And also, the last significance of betrothal and courtship is negotiating bride wealth. So during this time of courtship, it allows the families to be involved in negotiating of the bride wealth. So negotiations of the bride wealth. And briefly, we can talk about bride wealth. So what is bride wealth? These are the gifts that are given by the bridegroom to the bride's parents in exchange for their daughter. So the bridegroom gives the bride's parents, to be specific, gifts in exchange for their daughter. That is what we call bride wealth. And what is the importance of this bride wealth in the traditional African society? Why do we say this is important? Number one, bride wealth is important because it is a token of appreciation. We talked about it earlier. It is a token of appreciation. We also said that it compensates the girl's parents for the loss of her services. That is the girl's services she was rendering in their home area. So bride wealth, as we said, is a token of appreciation to the girl's parents for their precious gift of a wife. We said it compensates the girl's parents for the loss of her services. Number three, it binds the married couple together and unites their families. And lastly, it acts as a marriage certificate, or it serves as a marriage certificate. The third part and the last part of the traditional African practice or preparation for marriage is the wedding ceremony. In the wedding ceremony, we find out that it varies from one community to another. There are different examples of marriage ceremonies in the traditional African society. For example, in some cases, the bride is escorted by her peers amid song and dancing and drinking and eating. So the bride is escorted by her peers to where she's getting married. Also, there's another marriage ceremony where there's a mock attack or capture. So the bride is captured by the relatives of the boy and taken to the home of her husband. In other cases also, the man runs away with the engaged girl. That is what we call eloping. And on the arrival of the bridegroom home, it is marked with feasting and celebrations. When the bride arrives at the groom's home, there's a lot of feasting and celebrations. And the union is blessed by the community members, including the elders and the ancestors. Also, during a wedding ceremony, you will find that the sacrifices are offered to God and the ancestors. And the most important thing during a wedding ceremony is that virginity of the girl is highly celebrated, because it even enhances the family status of the girl. So virginity is highly celebrated. If we can sum up about the wedding ceremony, we can say the bride is escorted by peers. That is one example of marriage ceremony. There is a mock attack. There is also eloping. Eloping is whereby the man runs away with the engaged girl. Sacrifices are offered during this wedding ceremony, and then virginity is highly celebrated. We go to the second